Good afternoon to you. Good day, whatever time it is that you're watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Welcome to the Bernie Miklasz Show here on my YouTube channel. And please subscribe if you haven't. Give us a shot. It's free, nothing to lose except maybe a little time. Also, please remember to hit the like button. And of course, always appreciate your comments. Even there are times so busy I can't respond to many, if any, juggling a lot of balls and juggling a lot of stuff in the air. So anyway, I wanted to talk today about, I'm taking a look at some projections for the Cardinals and by extension, the National League Central. And just to give you a snapshot. And again, these are just projections. It doesn't really mean anything. Although the PECOTA projection last year for the Cardinals, that's put out by our friends at Baseball Prospectus, they were pretty close. You may remember the PECOTA at Baseball Prospectus had the Cardinals winning the Central last year with 85 wins. Well, the Cardinals won 83 games, and my point being that it was close because these projection systems sometimes can be way off course, whether they underestimate a team or they overrate a team, that kind of thing. But just by point of reference, last year, the Baseball Prospectus is actually pretty close, at least with the Cardinals, with the PECOTA. So I'm going to just give you two for now because I'm going to branch off into something else that's very much related. Let me just give you a teaser, okay? Not that you need me to tell you this because I think we all know it. But let me just say this real quick, kind of a little teaser. The National League Central is an absolute disgrace. I mean, it's an absolute disgrace. And what I'm going to do here in a bit, I'm not going to bore you with too many numbers. I'm going to keep this video tight, but I'm just going to show you like the lack of success NL Central teams have had in terms of getting anything done in the postseason. It's really embarrassing. And it's also, from a St. Louis standpoint, it makes you shake your head because it's like the Cardinals. Well, the Cubs should be dominating the division given their financial firepower. They have more than St. Louis. But it's just remarkable how the Cardinals, remarkable and frustrating how the Cardinals have not taken advantage of playing in this incredibly soft division, this pathetic division. And I guess not to jump ahead, I'll come back to this towards the end. I guess the good news or the hopeful look at this is that you got a new regime moving in. The farm system, player development system is going to be a lot better. Players are going to be much more prepared when they get to the big leagues. The Cardinals have really failed in that area, and they're going to have all the resources, all the technology, all the coaching, all the instructing that they need. So with all due respect to everyone else in the division, I think the Cubs are the team that would be the proverbial sleeping giant. If they want to, they could destroy everyone in this division pretty much every year, but they don't. I mean, I just think it's funny in a way because we all go nuts here in St. Louis about the Cardinals' payroll and how the Cardinals aren't committed to winning and all that. And I go nuts over and over again about how since 2017, the Brewers have basically owned the Cardinals. If you're talking about division championships, you're talking about number of times in the playoffs. To repeat one of my favorite stats, because it just shows you I'd rather have a smart team than one that just throws money around like you're some drunk in a club, let's make it rain, throwing dollars all over the place. The Brewers, despite spending $470 million less than the Cardinals since 2017, the Brewers have owned the Cardinals, and the Cardinals have outspent them by $470 million. So that's why I'm looking forward to this new regime because I think all the people that Chaim Bloom and Rob Cerfolio are bringing in are really, really smart. And there's going to be a lot more of them. The Cardinals, the collective baseball IQ is going to go way up. And don't know about who's going to be in the dugout, so there's no reason for me to discuss that because that's going to play out over time. But anyway, I'm sort of jumping to my conclusion a little bit, and then I'll give you the gory details about how bad the Central is and how ridiculous it is that the Cardinals wasted so much time so much opportunity of being able to kind of, rise up, pull themselves up. At least it's not the end all be all, because the Cardinals have not been able to win in the postseason. Since they beat the Dodgers in the 2014 NLDS, we know this, but just to reset, oh, there's that word again. The Cardinals have won just a single postseason round since taking that NLDS in 2014. And that was when they beat the Braves in the NLDS in 2019. So the opportunities have been there for the Cardinals, just if they were smarter, if they spent money in the right places and the right way. There was an opportunity there to really have enough success to where we all wouldn't be so upset and so disillusioned. Again, the goal is to win a championship. I know that, but I'm just saying, at least you get in the playoffs and you're better equipped to go on a postseason run. You can make some things happen because there is some randomness baked into every postseason. So opportunities lost, but if Chaim Bloom and Rob Cerfolio can get this thing going and all the smart people they're bringing in, I think the Central's still going to be rather soft going forward. So here are the two projections before I get into the nitty-gritty about how bad the Central has been. The Pacoda projections have the Cardinals winning 78 games this year. And here's how Pacoda projects the NL Central. Chicago with 91 wins, Milwaukee with 86, St. Louis with 78, Pittsburgh with 75, Cincinnati with 74. I was surprised Cincinnati's that low, but we'll see. That's the whole point. It's kind of fun to monitor to see how close they were or how far off they were over at Baseball Prospectus. If you look at the Pacoda projections, Baseball Prospectus, the Cardinals' 78 wins would be tied with the Giants for 9th in the National League overall. The teams with the most wins in order projected by Pacoda, 104. The Dodgers 104, Braves 92, Cubs 91, Mets 89, Phillies 88, Arizona 87, San Diego 82, Milwaukee 80, St. Louis 78, San Francisco 78. Okay, Fangraphs, their system of just giving, kind of snap projections for 2025. It's not as elaborate as what Pacoda does, but still, I love it. And I love Fangraphs. Big fan. You should consider becoming a member. So Fangraphs has the Cardinals winning 78 games. So that seems to be with these projection models. They're all seeing the same thing. And again, it could change because these projection models include Nolan Arenado, and there is at least still a chance he'll be moved. Little talk about that with John Paul Morosi on MLB Network, saying the Cardinals and the Red Sox have resumed some communication about a trade. I don't think this is anything earth-shattering. Of course, there was a lot of hyperventilating over that. If someone had reported that a trade is imminent, then I would hyperventilate too. We'll see how it plays out. But so these projections could be off, just simply the fact that we don't know every team's roster yet, including the Cardinals. But anyway, so if you go by the Fangraphs projections, the Cardinals 78 wins. If we go by the division, it would be Cubs 84 wins, Brewers 81 wins, and then you got the Cardinals, the Reds, and the Pirates, each with 78 wins. So that tells you right there, if Fangraphs is correct, again, they're doing the best they can. If Fangraphs is correct, you can win the division title this year with 84 wins. I think it'll be a little higher than that. I'm more inclined to go with Pacoda, Baseball Prospectus, projecting 91 wins. Maybe even if we split the difference, you still could win this division. If we split the difference, you can win this division with like 87 wins. So even now, technically speaking, theoretically speaking, the opportunity is there. But I'm looking back so I can then look forward. And what do I mean by that? Here's the rundown that I promise you. I did a little homework on this today. Since Major League Baseball expanded the playoff format beginning in 2022, You got 6 teams make it from each division. Okay. Here are the number of postseason games won collectively by each division. The teams in those divisions, you add it all up. Since 2022, so that's the last 3 postseasons with the expanded playoff format. The National League West, 32 wins as a group. The American League West, 32 wins as a group. The American League Central, a little bit of a surprise, but their teams have 18 postseason wins over the last 3 seasons. The National League East has American League East has 11. The National League East has 10. And the National League Central, in the last 3 postseasons, the NL Central, 1 postseason win. 1. It's just, you think all of these franchises in these divisions in the Central, you think they would all be utterly embarrassed, be ashamed. Have they no shame? Apparently, because even the Cubs, with their kind of half-hearted thing, what they're capable of doing. I mean, the Cubs should be in there throwing heavyweight punches along with the Dodgers and the Yankees. And who else do we want to name? Philadelphia. Throw in a couple more if you want, but the Cubs should be in that weight class, but they're not. Because I think they take the NL Central for granted. Oh, we don't have to be all that good. Yeah, let's try to get the 90 wins. They're sort of doing the Cardinals thing, where the Cardinals kind of backed off a little bit. Well, we're going to calibrate. And, well, we think if we win 87 games, we'll be in the playoff, that kind of thing. It kind of saps your initiative, doesn't it? I think that's where Cubs fans have every reason to be upset, because the Cubs should not be worried about outlasting the Brewers or the Cardinals or the Pirates or the Reds. The Cubs, with all the money that they have and their huge, immense market size, the Cubs ought to be worried about not like, well, we can hold off these little teams in the Central. And they don't even do that because Milwaukee's been the best team in the Central. But anyway, they should be not like, well, how can we stay above, or how can we get above this motley crew in the NL Central? Their goal should be, and with the Cardinals to a lesser extent, but the Cubs are a financial powerhouse. The Cardinals have plenty of money, but let's not be stupid here, okay? The Cubs, in terms of a war chest financially, it's pretty huge, right? Given the marketing deals and the it's just everything you want to count up. So anyway, the Cubs, if I'm a Cubs fan, I'm just kind of by now just furious because they haven't won a postseason game since 2017. I mean, can you imagine that? Seriously. Anyway, they should be trying to throw punches, exchange punches with the biggest teams in baseball, the ones that win, Houston, the ones that win, the ones that get there every year and they make something happen. So, but think about, again, I'm going to repeat it one more time. Since the expanded playoffs began 3 seasons ago, National League Central teams have 1 win, that by the Milwaukee Brewers last year, and they actually should have won. They should have won that wild card round series over the Mets. And you remember Devin Williams gave up a bomb. They lost a lead. They lost the game. But still, bottom line, 1 postseason win by the teams in the NL Central over the last 3 years. I went back a little further. I hope you don't mind this, and I'll be quick about it. I said, well, the last time a team in the NL Central was truly great, it was the 2016 Cubs. I don't have to tell you what they did. I mean, they were a powerhouse. They were outstanding, and they won the first World Series for the franchise since 1908. So I said, okay, what's the deal with these teams? What I should say is what's the deal with the NL Central and all these other divisions from 2017 through 2024? Well, the NL Central teams over the last 8 seasons have only 16 wins combined in the postseason. Milwaukee 8, Chicago 4, St. Louis 4. Okay. And you compare that, like the National League East, 68 wins, the National League West, 77 wins. And here you have the Central. I mean, think of it, 77 wins for National League West. And it's not just the Dodgers. The Padres and the Diamondbacks have had double-digit win totals in the postseason, when you combine all these seasons from 2017 through 2024. And, you've got you've got in the National League East, the Braves 24 wins, Phillies 20, Washington 14, the Mets 8. A total 68 wins in the postseason over the last 8 seasons. And here's a poor little pathetic NL Central with 16 wins. And it's much the same story if you look over in the American League. So I just, and if you look at it another way, the last 8 seasons, right? National League Central teams, this is again starting in 2017, no pennants, no World Series. If you look at the National League East over that time, 3 pennants, 2 World Series titles. National League West with the Dodgers, but not just the Dodgers, because remember the Diamondbacks got it to a World Series too. But anyway, the National League West, 5 pennants, 2 World Series titles. Let's just do the American League really quick. American League Central, no pennants, no World Series, but at least they've won 22 postseason games, which is more than what the NL Central's done. Anyway, American League East, 3 pennants, 1 World Series title. And because Boston won that one in 2018. American League West, 5 pennants, 3 World Series titles. So, again, it's just so ridiculous that with this tapioca pudding soft NL Central that the Cardinals chose to just kind of, throttle down, kind of just like shift the gear, go to a slower speed, don't push, don't try to accelerate your commitment to winning. And they downshifted. And so how many years were thrown away where they really could have done something big? In theory, had they been smarter about how they spend their money, and if their farm system in terms of developing players and having all the resources to make them the best they can be. If they had taken care of business down on the farm and in the player development system, and they had been smarter and a little more aggressive with the major league roster, the Cardinals, there was no need for them to have this kind of downturn. It was all preventable. It was all avoidable. And I have said that a bunch of times. I'm just sharing the perspective on this because it's absurd. And now, on the other side, as I alluded to, the thing that's hopeful is because I think the Cardinals they're already getting smarter, not so much in terms of the major league roster, but I'm talking about with Bloom and Cerfolio and everyone they're recruiting, all that work being done below is going to make the Cardinals a lot smarter. They're going to be more cutting edge. They're going to have everything they need as far as resources and tools and great facilities. So the player development system, it's going to take a couple, 3 years to totally rejuvenate it. But I'm confident it's going to go really, really well and move to a much higher direction than it has been. I'm talking about the minor leagues. And then you have, when Chaim Bloom takes over, the one thing I am certain about him, and oh, by the way, every person who runs a ball club makes mistakes, right? Chaim Bloom included. But their payroll efficiency will be much, much better. And every time I say payroll efficiency, I know people grimace because it's like, oh, so what? The Cardinals are going to, like, their goal is to be the Tampa Bay Rays? Oh, wow. That's not the point at all. The point is that given, relatively speaking, the relatively small amount of payroll they have to work with, they maximize their talent. They maximize what they spend to get results, right? They've won, like, going back some of these little studies I did. I mean, Tampa Bay's had more success in the postseason than the Cardinals, and their payrolls cost Tampa Bay a fraction of the cost of the Cardinals, or what they're throwing away. Same with Cleveland. The point is, if you can be smart about how you spend your money, if you can be really smart about how you spend your money, understanding value for the dollar, and if you can get your farm system in, and again, it isn't about talent, it's about how you develop the talent. If you can get that thing up and running the way it used to be when Jeff Luhnow was in charge of that, there's going to be a great opportunity for the Cardinals to move up and get big and bold in the NL Central at least, and then you go from there. Listen, the first thing you got to do, the goal is to win championship, but the first thing you got to do is be good enough to get into the playoffs and have a team that can do something once you get there. But if all of a sudden you're really smart about your payroll dollars and you're developing players the way you used to, man, that's going to work in the NL Central. That's going to at least put you back in the hunt and give you a chance to sort of go off and do some special things again. Because, again, it isn't that they're looking for a Tampa Bay payroll or a Cleveland payroll. That's not the point. The point is just what Bill DeWitt did when he brought in Luhnow, and I've talked about this so much, which is you need to have a foundation of young talent because it's cost controlled. And then that gives you more money, more room in your payroll to add pieces, impact pieces, establish veteran players, trades, free agency, or whatever. You top it off. And that's what Bill DeWitt wants to do because that's what he told me he wants to do. So anyway, NL Central, one postseason victory in the last 3 years. And the Cardinals and all these teams, the Cubs including, they're just like twiddling their thumbs. They're kind of sitting in the bleachers, eating popcorn, watching everyone else win. Oh, come on. Let's snap to it, teams. You ought to be ashamed of yourself, you NL Central teams. At least the Brewers get to the playoffs, and they do it with a pretty reasonable, it's not a low payroll, but they're kind of like on the borderline of like a middle-class payroll. Then you could be a Reds and a Pirates fan. They don't win nothing. All right, I'm going to shut up. I just wanted to share this because I was commiserating, if that's the word, about just how bad this division has been and what an opportunity the Cardinals have squandered. And now I think soon with the new regime coming in, they're going to have an opportunity to move on up in that division and beyond as soon as everybody gets everything in place with the new regime. Thank you very much. I'll be back in a little while. I'm going to do something about Nolan Arenado. Not talking about trades, but talking about what if he stays. Okay, I'll be back. Thank you so much.